with all due respect, how can this government trust what the Taliban says? It would appear that the Taliban is simply the latest in a long line of actors in other countries that will say what sounds appealing to us here in the West, and then once the West pulls out, by notably its military, these forces then go on and do what they feel like doing, and the people are left wanting, in the best of circumstances. What is the U.S. actually prepared to do at this moment to make certain that the Taliban isn't following up on marking homes where Afghans who worked with the U.S. government had been living, and that they don't go back and actually kill their people? It seems as if the leaders are willing to say one thing, and they've given a message to their foot soldiers to do what they really intend to be doing, which is running the country in their vision, not in one that is going to be in good standing with the international community.
Well, I want to be very clear about one thing. We are not in any way trusting the Taliban. This is not about trust. This is about what's in our interests and also what's in the interests of the people of Afghanistan. And those two things are aligned. Right now, it is a fact that we are dealing with the Taliban on these issues, in part to make very clear where it is that the United States stands, where it is that the rest of the world stands. This is not about asking permission. This is not about establishing any sort of formal relations. This is about doing all we can to facilitate safe passage, to ensure that the Taliban know that any effort to impede the evacuation of American citizens, to impede our operations while this is up and running, would be met with a very swift and severe response. So that has been our message. That has been the message of the rest of the world. I can tell you that, and it's not only the Taliban, it is in the interests of every ruling entity the world over to have a functioning economy, to be able to provide for their people, to have a relationship to whatever degree that entails with the rest of the world. And we have been very clear, and by we I mean the royal we here, the United States with our allies and partners around the world, more than half of the world's countries in at least one case. We have been very clear that those things would be quite difficult, if not impossible, if the Taliban do not live up to their basic commitments, if they deny the rights of their citizens, if they deprive more than half of their population of their basic rights, if they commit the sort of atrocities that we've all seen take place over in Afghanistan over the years. None of that would be foreseeable if the Taliban were to choose that path. So together with the international community, we have significant sources of leverage. But the Taliban also have an interest as well. If they want any semblance of durability, if they want the tools they need to be able to administer a country as large, a country as expansive as Afghanistan, what the United States and what together we say with our international allies and partners, that will matter to them in very profound ways.
Let me follow up. It's interesting that you just said that we're not here negotiating with the Taliban. Is that a justification for why we have not seen anyone, certainly at the secretary's level, engaging with Mullah Baradar or whoever would be their foreign minister, that you have people who are lower on the food chain, as it were, engaging, talking, cajoling, arguing, whatever verb you want to use, with the Taliban, in order to not give them this sense that somehow they are more important than they might think that they are.
It's not about seeking to prevent self-aggrandizement or anything like that. It is a.
But certainly you can use it to, fuel however you want to run your country.
It is largely a function of the fact that our discussions with the Taliban have been operational. They have been tactical. They have been focused largely on our near-term operations and our near-term goals. In those near-term operations and those near-term goals, in the first instance, are focused on what is going on at the airport compound at HKaya. That is what we are focused on at the moment. Now, it is true that we have begun with our allies and partners in various fora, NATO, G7, through bilateral dialogue and multilateral diplomacy as well at various levels, to begin to have conversations about what the international community would want to see of any future government in Afghanistan, and to be very clear about what would be unacceptable to us. We have done that publicly. It is true that over the course of many months, the Taliban certainly have a good sense of that from private discussions that have taken place in Doha. None of this will come as a surprise to them. But when it comes to the political outcome, that is something that, in the first instance, we are establishing common expectations, establishing shared concerns, shared goals, and shared outcomes, not with the Taliban, but with international allies and partners, knowing that when we approach the Taliban together as a bloc of many of the world's most powerful and influential countries, that what we say will have outsized influence. It's always important what the United States says. It is going to be even more influential when we speak with one voice with our closest friends and allies.
One final quick point.